Hello there everybody, how's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am coming to you on this Thursday, December 12th, 2024, with an update video. It's been a little bit over a week since my last update, and so we are back again to talk about some stitchy things. Before I get into everything, welcome everybody. Welcome to both my returning viewers as well as anybody who is new here. Perhaps you are here on my channel for the first time. Thanks everybody so much for spending part of your day with me, with all of the Vlogmas and the Flossmas happening around FlossTube right now. I so appreciate y'all picking my video out of the so many that you possibly can choose to watch. So thank you very much. If you are new on this channel, I talk mostly about cross stitch. Sometimes I will talk about books and knitting. In the interest of keeping things simple, we are sticking to just cross stitch today. And so we are going to talk about the projects that I have worked on since my last update video, including one finish, one UFO, and then we'll talk about some plans. And I also have, in regards to plans, I need your help figuring out what I'm going to do with the rest of December here. And then I also have a little bit of stash to share with you. So this shouldn't be too terribly long, which is good because I don't have a huge window of time here. So let's get into it, and we're just gonna jump right in with the works in progress. So these are the things that I have worked on over the last week. I have things not in chronological order, which is typically what I go for. Instead, things are sort of sectioned off into different categories. So I have been working on Finish That Stitch December. Finish That Stitch December was an idea by Sammy J Stitches, and the idea is to figure out what you can finish before the end of the year and attempt to get that done. So I picked out, I think, 5 projects and put them on a wheel, and I'm working on each of them towards small goals before I rotate to the next one. Nothing that I have is like super close to a finish, but everything is within a few thousand stitches. So some concentrated effort will see them done before the end of the month, but yeah, nothing is like one day and it's done. So the first one I have to show you, ironically enough, is a finish. So you will have seen this on Instagram. I did post it over there. But in case you don't follow me there, I was working on My Day Complete by Barrick. And so I'm going to show you the finished piece and then we'll talk about all the things. The fabric here is a 40 count Newcastle linen in Eggnog by Color and Cotton. And this design is charted in NPIs, but Kathy provides a DMC conversion, and I did do the DMCs for this one. There's a couple of other changes. I guess I'll go ahead and put up the preview of the finished piece here because mine does look a little bit different. There's initials everywhere. This is based on some fracture artwork from the, I want to say, early 19th century. And there are initials kind of all over it that I chose to remove because I didn't know what initials to put on there. And so I just decided to go with it just as is without the initials. I also changed the date plate to 2013 instead of, I think it was 1809. I changed it to 2013 because that's when I started stitching, and since the words here are regarding stitching, I cannot count my day complete until needle thread and fabric meet. That's been true for me since about 2013. So that's what I decided to do with that. I still need to figure out if I'm going to do either my initials or my signature somewhere on the piece. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with that. So I guess it's technically not quite done, but for all intents and purposes, it's in the finish pile. So I started this piece in 2022. Colette the Highway Stitcher and Krista, they share a birthday. Their birthday is October 29th. And so every year they start a piece that they then finish within the year before their next birthday, before their next start along, before their next stitch along, really. It's a true stitch along. And starting a few years ago, they invited us, like, if you want to jump in, join us with this chart and stitch it with us for our birthday. And in 2022, I was just thinking, I was reminded of this while I was writing my Instagram post for the finish. In 2022, I had a sort of secret theme for the year. All of my new starts had to have a bird on them of some variety. And when they announced this as their birthday sal, I was like, yeah, I think I can jump in because there's a bird on it. And he was so cool. Such a cool bird. So I jumped in with them, and then it took me over 2 years to finish it, but that's okay. That's quite all right. Yeah, I loved this piece. I really enjoyed stitching it. The tree trunk goes forever, and it was still a lot of fun to stitch. I love the colors. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. So this is my 14th finish for the year. I'm up to 14 finishes this year. This is my 6th finish for 40 finishes before 40. So I'm still a little bit behind, but I'm catching up, and that feels pretty good. It feels pretty good to get 40 finishes, or my 6th towards that goal of 40 finishes. So yeah, so there's that. I think I have a frame that I think this will fit, and I'm going to put it on my shelf here once I get these books worked into the shelves. There, you see one bookshelf here. There's also another one directly in front of me. And then I have more bookshelves upstairs, and so these need to get worked in. But anyway, I think that this will be in a frame on one of these shelves because stitching related. That feels right to have for my filming spot. So that is my day complete. I spun that towards the end of last week and realized that I was just about 2,000 stitches away from the finish after I had completed my first rotation. And I kind of just wanted to stick with it. I just wanted to work on the one piece and try to get it finished. So I did get that finished on Sunday afternoon. After my day was complete, I spun my Finish That Stitch December wheel again, and it pulled August by the Cricut Collection. I'm going to show you that here in just a minute because I have worked on it again since that point. So I finished my rotation on August pretty quickly, like Sunday evening, and then spun it again. And my next project was the Halloween sampler by Cottage Garden Samplings. Now, in the intro, I mentioned a UFO, and we have reached that point. We have reached the UFO. I love this project. I cannot wait to stitch this on 40 count with actually variegated threads. So let me show you the UFO. This is on 32 count Belfast linen in Tombstone by Color and Cotton, and I was stitching this with the called for Gentle Art sampler threads. So I worked on this for Monday and a little bit on Tuesday before I literally cut the thread and just stopped stitching. So here is how far I got, and yeah, getting this far made it difficult to UFO it for sure. I wouldn't say every, 50% of me wanted to just be like, let's just get it done. Let's just finish the thing and be done with it. And the other 50% of me was like, I'm not having as much fun as I'd like. So here's the thing. The capital letters are in Gentle Arts Blackboard, and the lowercase letters are in Gentle Arts Raven. Blackboard has a bit of a blue tint to it. Raven has a little bit of a green tint to it. The skeins that I had for this were dark. Really, really dark. And so the blue was a little hard to see even in the skein, and the green was very sporadic in the skeins that I had. And here in the stitching, I don't think you can tell the difference, because I can't tell the difference under stitching light. I can't tell the difference between the letters. And I love the idea of that blue showing. If you look on the cover, you can see the blue pops sort of come through. you can see there's some contrast there between the capital letters and the lowercase letters of each of these words. And so I was just not having as much fun as I would have liked. Plus, this is a 32 count linen, and I'm really just a 40 count stitcher nowadays. I just prefer a 40 count, especially for something like this. So if I'm not gonna like super obsess over the result, and if I'm not enjoying the process, then what am I doing here? I'm UFOing. With plans to restart. I will restart this. Perhaps before the end of the year, perhaps in the new year, I will restart this. So yeah, so that's what happened with that. Not great, but it's done for me for now, and so we can move on. Okay, so now we'll get to August, and technically my first actual work in progress of the day. So that lives in this project bag. This is a project bag by Stitch and Button, always linked in the description box of my videos because I show at least one of her bags every video. And so in here lives, like I said, August by the Cricket Collection. And so that is what this will look like finished. I have done several of these in this monthly series. I have plans and intentions to do them all. This is my oldest. I started this in 2016, and it is high time that this is finished. It is high time. Okay, so let me show you the stitching. This is a 32 count Belfast linen in pearl gray from Zweigart, and forgive the parked threads. Let me show you the whole thing, and then we'll talk about what I have done most recently. So yeah, that is where we were at currently. So my last update video I showed you, I had the A and the first U done. With this one, I set the finish that stitch December rotation goal at either 2 letters or 1,000 stitches, whichever came first. And so that first rotation, I got the A and the first U done and then rotated. Then this past Sunday, after I finished my day complete, I pulled this out and stitched the G and the U, finished those 2 letters out. I had very little to do, so it really just took my evening stitching. I had this seagull to do, I had the shovel, and some details on the lobster, and that was pretty much it. That was all I had to do for that rotation, so that went real fast. Then I spun it again a couple of days ago and got to work on the last 2 letters. And so I'm going to put in a before picture here so that you can see, but I had some of the letter itself done. I had this sail started, and that was pretty much it. So the majority of the boat I stitched yesterday, as well as the water underneath it. And then the bottom, I would say half of the S I did yesterday. And then this morning I stitched this part of the sun and worked my way over here to the top of the T. So I've done, I think, about 800 stitches, and I took this off the frame before filming today. I know I haven't reached my 2 letters or my 1,000 stitches yet, but here's the thing. If I work on this to 1,000 stitches, then I'm going to be that much closer to the finish. And so I'm going to want to just finish it. I'm going to want to just get it done. But I don't have the buttons. This one calls for buttons. Where did my chart go? There it is. This one calls for buttons. Quite a few of them, actually. There's a couple of clamshells, a star. What else have we got? Yeah, this one has like, I want to say 5 or 6 buttons on it. And I don't have them. So I placed an order yesterday from 123 Stitch, and they have shipped now. So I should have them in a few days. But I'm going to be like, if I keep going with this and I get all of the stitching done, I'm going to be real disappointed if my buttons aren't here yet and I can't actually finish it. So I decided to get the S finished, stitch what I could this morning in my morning stitch today, and then take it off the frame and come back to it when I have the buttons and I can just get the finish therein. That S was quite a bit of stitching. Like I said, I did about 800 stitches in these last couple of days. So anyway, I did decide not to do the French knot eyes on the seagulls because I think they look good enough without the French knots, especially without my French knots. Yeah. So that's where I am up to with August. I'm stitching this 2/2 with the called for threads, mostly DMCs. The exception there is the letters are done in a thread gatherer, silken colors in the colorway slate blue. But otherwise it is DMC and all of it is as called for. So that is where I'm up to with August. So this will hopefully be a finish before my next update video next week. Our second category of works in progress is temperature stitching. I gotta come up with a way of talking about temperature stitching that doesn't bore the folks who have seen this so many times, but also like gives the relevant information to the folks who are new to this and maybe want to adapt it to work for themselves. So let's see if I can do this clearly and concisely, and not muddy. Okay, so temperature stitching. It's essentially like a way of randomly choosing what you're going to work on, but you let the temperature tell you what it is. So here's how you do this. You assign projects to the digits 0 through 9. So 10 projects. I have further adapted it for myself to 5 projects, and each of the projects gets 2 digits. So 0 and 1 is the same project, 2 and 3 is the same project, so on and so forth. Just to reduce the amount of variety. Still adding variety, but reducing the amount of variety. Anyway, so you have your projects assigned to those digits. Then you take the temperature. You take the temperature it is right now as you sit down to stitch. You take the forecasted temperatures. You take the past recorded temperatures. You can do the highs of the day, you can do the lows of the day, you could do both. And then you take the last digit of that temperature, whatever scale you use. You take the last digit of that temperature, and that digit corresponds to a project that you previously listed through digits 0 through 9. And so let's say the temperature today is 43 degrees, so I would work on my project that's assigned to 2 and 3. So the way that I am playing this in particular is I am looking at past recorded temperatures, and I sit down on Monday and I write down the past recorded temperatures for the previous 7 days. So the past Monday through Sunday, I write down what those temperatures were. And then on Tuesday, I do the stitching based on that information that I wrote down on Monday. So that's how I am playing things. Some people are doing this daily. Some people are doing it more free than that. There's a whole bunch of different ways of doing it. But the long story short is that it's really just a way of like randomly choosing what you're going to be working on, and letting something else decide. We have 2 weeks worth of temperature stitching to catch you up on, because I did last week's temperature stitching on Wednesday and Thursday after filming on Tuesday. And then I did this week's temperature stitching this past Tuesday. So we have some updates to do here. One thing I will tell you is that I've decided I'm not doing any before and afters for temperature stitching until I hit either the 2,000 stitch threshold that I have set for myself before I change the project, or we reach the end of the season. Because I am choosing my projects for temperature stitching based on the season. Okay, so I'm going to show you all 5 of my temperature pieces, because I have worked on all 5 of them in the last 2 weeks. And then I will try my best to tell you what I worked on last week versus this week. This one is pretty easy because I did not work on it this week. Living in this project bag, this is a Momily bag. And in here lives my Autumn Fairy. Autumn Fairy is by Chatelaine. And I worked on this last week for one day. It was 51 degrees. This is my 01 project. And so I worked on this for 100 stitches. So this will be quick and easy. At some point during my speaking, you will have seen the preview of what this will look like finished, hopefully next year. This is a 32 count Belfast linen in Mellow by Pictorial Plus, and I have been working in the mandala. So I put in 100 stitches, or as close to as I could, there on the mandala, working in some of the darker blues. Just watching that come together. So yeah, just 100 stitches, super quick, super easy. And that was fun. Okay. All right, up next, my 2-3 project I worked on, let me see, for 200 stitches last week and for 300 stitches this week. Yes, so this is my 2-3 project, living in this project bag, made by Mondot Stitches. And Merry and Bright is by Cottage Garden Samplings. I had so much fun working on this, I just can't even tell you. And based on Halloween Sampler, you guys are going to call me a bit of a hypocrite because this is also on 32 count, but I love it. I love it on 32 count. So this is on 32 count Belfast linen in Carol's Meadow by Silk Weaver, or hand-dyed by Jenn. I bought this from Needleworkers Delight a number of years ago. And so here is where I am currently. I'm stitching this using the DMC conversion. Vinny has this charted in Weeks Dye Works, and I went with the DMCs. So last week I came down here and I worked in this leaf, and I filled in some more of this leaf now that I have my greens back back replenished. So I worked on the leaf for those 200 stitches last week, and then this week for 300 stitches I came up here and stitched Mary. I had the M started, and I love stitching these Gothic letters. It's so much fun with these designs. So I was sort of saving it, but I've decided that I kind of want to come up here and work from the top down. It's just kind of my favorite way of stitching. So I reluctantly stitched the letters in Mary for my 300 stitches for this week. So that is where I am with this one. So far I have done 600 stitches on this piece. Okay. And then my 4-5 project, oh, I put these in order. How smart am I? Okay, my 4-5 project lives in this project bag, also a Mama Lee bag. This is Autumn Cloche, and I worked on this only this week. This did not come up last week. Preview here of what this will look like finished. This I needed 200 stitches on this week, and this is a 40 count Newcastle linen in Rain Washed by Color and Cotton. And here is where I'm down to. I decided to work more on the bird this time, so I stitched the bird's wing and a little bit more of his chest there. And that's what 200 stitches got me. So the thing about this temperature stitching is that, like, 100 stitches it's not a lot. Some projects that takes less than an hour. This one, it took less than an hour to do 100s. It was like 90 minutes for 200 stitches. So it's not a lot, but as I said, I set the threshold at 2,000 stitches before I switched the piece in temperature stitching, and I wasn't supposed to work on this year. So the 700 stitches that I've done on it now were 700 stitches it technically wasn't supposed to get here in 2024. I like it. I like it. I'm really enjoying the temperature stitching. Quite a lot. So that is Autumn Cloche. Oh, not totally in order. Okay. Up next, this is Fall Owl 5. This is by Cross Stitch Pictorial on Etsy. And it lives in this project bag by Black Cat X Stitchery. And I worked on this both, 200 stitches last week and only 100 stitches this week. This is on 32 count Belfast linen in, the label says Cottage Cream. It's the vintage line from Zweigart where it's slightly mottled on the front and plain on the back. But it uses the cream linen base. And here is where I am now. Now this one, I tried to work on different sections if I had to work on it 2 weeks in a row just for this video's purposes. This one, that wasn't exactly true, or wasn't exactly possible. So I did this sort of foundational groundwork around this eye in the first week and came down here the bridge of nose, beak, what have you, right there. And then my 100 stitches this week, I worked on, I filled in the eye, that other eye there. So that is where I am with Full Owl 5. I love this piece. 100 stitches doesn't feel very significant, but it's going to add up. It's going to add up. So yeah, love this piece. And so excited to, again, put stitches in it when it really wasn't meant to get this year. I like it. And then my 8-9 project is living in a new project bag. This is a project bag by Sheba Designs, Melissa. Just a really pretty autumny bag. This was meant for the Queen City Stitch Retreat that took place in October, I think. But I just thought it was so perfect for Autumn Town. Autumn Town is by Nara X Stitch Patterns on Etsy. And this was a piece that I had chosen New Start as one of my temperature pieces. And this is the one that was chosen. So this is on a 32 count Belfast linen in vintage blue Whisper from Zweigart. Again, the printed with the plain color on the back. And again, I couldn't really work in a different section. So let's see, I did 200 stitches last week and 100 stitches this week. So my 200 stitches I got going on the hot air balloon here, and my 100 stitches this week I finished out this part of the cloud, did a little bit more balloon, and the shading of the cloud. So 300 more stitches beyond the very basic start that I had from the first time this came up. So that is where I am with Autumn Town. So that is the recap of temperature stitching for the last 2 weeks. So let me show you what this looks like. I have, well, I'll show it to you. So the blue was week 1, my first week of doing temperature stitching there at the end of November. The gray is week 2, and the purple is this week. So it's interesting to me to see how infrequently 0 and 1 come up, but how very heavy it is in the middle section there. That's interesting. It may help inform how I organize my pieces moving forward for temperature stitching. So I am stitching this seasonally, like I said. And so on winter solstice, on December 21st, I will switch to my winter version of this. So yeah, I'm enjoying temperature stitching a lot. I'm having a good time with it. Switching this much in a single day is not a long-term thing for me, but once a week, just kind of stepping outside my comfort zone, if you will, and working on quite a few projects in a day, I like it. I'm having fun with it. And I will continue it until it's no longer fun. If it's no longer fun, then I will let this plan go. But it's good for now. Okay, so let's talk about plans, because that's everything that I have worked on. I am going to spin my wheel here on camera so that y'all can see the spinning of the Finish That Stitch December wheel. So on here I have August, which I just showed you, Stark House Banner, which I showed you in my last video, October Quaker, and then I added in Haunted House by Heaven and Earth Designs. I'm not going to finish that piece this month. However, I would like to get the page finished. That would be cool. I am aiming for at least one page finish every month this year, and my current plans don't have that one listed. I am about 1,300 stitches away from that page finish, so that shouldn't take more than a couple of days. I am going to black out August because I don't have those buttons, as I mentioned, and I don't think they're going to be here before the weekend. So here is my wheel. I'll try to get this so that there isn't so much glare. And so we're just going to spin it here and see what we get. And we get October Quaker. So I will be working on October Quaker for the next day and a half or so, depending on how long it takes me to get that 1,000 stitches. And I will show that to you next time. Okay, something else with plans, and I need your help with this. I am enjoying Finish That Stitch December. I am liking the idea of getting these things finished. However, one thing that I like to do at the end of the year is sort of have a bit of a pseudo whip parade, in that I spend a day on each of the projects that I have started in the year, and I go through them in chronological order. So on day one, I would work on my first new start of 2024, so on and so forth. And as it stands now, I have 13 new starts that I am carrying into 2025. So I need 13 days to do this rotation. In addition, we have Temperature Tuesdays. So I would still like to continue to devote Tuesdays to temperature stitching. So what this means is, if I go through with this, if I decide to do this sort of pseudo whip parade through my new starts from this year, that starts next Monday. Or I just spend the rest of the month doing Finish That Stitch December. So what do you think? What should I do? Should I do the whip parade? I don't know what to call this. But it's like working on my new starts from 2024. Do I do that? Or do I continue with Finish That Stitch December and finish things? I am good with either. I like both. I like both options. I really enjoy getting to get back to the projects that I have started within the year. And I like that rotation at the end of the year. It helps me figure out what the heck I'm going to work on in that weird window between Christmas Day and New Year's. But I also like the idea of finishing things, and I can't do both. I mean, it's at that point where I can't do both. I can do Finish That Stitch December through Sunday, and see what I can get done over the next few days, or the new start rotation. I'm not sure. So help me out. What do you think I should do? What would be more interesting to see on my channel over the last couple of weeks of the year? Would it be more interesting to see all of those new starts again? Or would it be more interesting to just do the Finish That Stitch December? I don't know. So I'll leave it in your hands. I obviously have to make a decision as of Sunday night, so there isn't a whole lot of time for placing your vote. But there you have it. Those are the ideas. Okay, I think that's it for the stitchy plans for the end of December. 2025 plans, I am going to film again probably tomorrow, where I talk about my 2025 plans. It needs to be a separate video, and I need to sort of lock in what my plans are, because some things are still a little bit undecided at this point. So I gotta have a think and come to a decision before I film my 2025 plans. So hopefully I can film that tomorrow. Okay, let's move into some stash acquisitions, for which I have just a little bit. I showed you the project bag from Shiba Designs, and I have another that I picked up from her. So it's this cool potion bottles. I think this is a Tula Pink. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a Tula Pink print. So super cool potion bottles. And then the inside print is that one there. So, and then this is an art book from Stitch and Button that I put in here because I thought it was fitting. The other thing that I have to show you with haul is some new needle minders. I don't buy needle minders anymore. I have so many. And that just reminds me of something else I forgot. Anyway, I have no business buying needle minders. However, I like my project bag to match the project, and I like to have a needle minder that matches the project. And I needed some minders. Anyway, so I ordered from Descent Stitch, and I will be returning because these are great. So here's the first set. My camera does not focus, but we have dinosaurs here with a volcano in the back. I thought that was pretty perfect for my dino garden. I have a skull with a snake and some flowers. That is the things we bury. Pretty perfect for that. I have this white floral for Ivory Crow by Heaven and Earth Designs and Margaret Morales. There's those. And then this one I got for Coffee Addiction, the ghost with the green leaves on it. I just thought that was pretty for Coffee Addiction on that green fabric. The frog, the sassy frog with an attitude, is for Tiana, Princess and the Frog by Donna Stitch, which I would really like to start. And then the sparkly tree in the center was a gift. So yeah, really love them. Enamel minders, the magnets are strong. I'm going to keep those away from the electronics. Yeah, those are great. So I will link her shop in the description box as well so that you can check out her stuff. Outside of the bags and the needle minders, I might have a digital purchase, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. And I have that 1, 2, 3 stitch order on the way, which has the buttons for August, but those buttons can't travel alone. It's a long way. So I will show you that when it gets here. And other than that, I'm not trying to buy much because we are in the holiday season. And so, yeah, that's pretty much that. So I think that's everything I have to talk about today. So anyway, I'm going to head off here and get this edited and uploaded for you all. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I know that FlossTube is so busy, so I just want to reiterate, just thank you. I hope that you're well. I hope that you're stitching. As always, be kind, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.